This 2JZ head has seen battle, 5 years of hard racing, 198 mile/hour passes, and 0 failures. Now, as it prepares for one last push to the World Cup finals, we're tearing it down to see how it's held up and what it needs to survive 15 more rounds. Follow along as we break down the wear, the secrets behind its durability, and why this isn't just any 2JZ build. It's one that wins. I feel like we need to go over a little history of this cylinder head before we dive in. So we built this head in 2020. It's been as fast as 709. It's went 198 miles an hour many times. And it runs a lot of boosts. It's an 83 millimeter turbo, no nitrous. It is actually the record holder in Wild Street class for World Cup finals. And we've refreshed it pretty much every year, just trying to make the race. But the problem now is that we're getting towards the end of its life. So that's why we're only going to try to make this thing survive 15 more hits. So that's all it has to do to get in the winner's circle. And we're going to go over what it looks like now and what we're going to do to survive it. Look at the cam journals. These things look freaking amazing. I don't see anywhere at all, maybe like a little marks here, but there is really nothing to talk about here. The cam clearancing, that internet mechanic, YouTube mechanic, he's telling people that, you know, this stuff doesn't work. Well, here it is working. Worked for 5 years, and has gone faster. I think it's actually whooped that guy's any of his customers' butts. But anyway, so one thing I did notice about the head is, actually look at this one here. If you look here, these are the washer registers, and it is getting very deep. And this happens, we actually use a insert. That's why this machine here service, but the ARP insert's very thin. And what happens here is the head is lifting, and then it digs into the cylinder head, and now you have a little ring. But because it's centered, we are going to leave this per Dave's instruction. It hasn't really changed. This is the second time it's been back with this, and I just don't see any problems with it. So normally we would machine this thing flat because it could be cocked in the hole, and now you have a situation where if you're torquing it, you're not actually torquing the washer flat, you'd be torquing on the angle. But because it is a insert, I feel like we can get away with it, and we have gotten away with it for the last 2 years. Now this is the CNC port we did for Dave quite a few years ago. This is actually our street port. At the time he wasn't making that much jam, and he was probably making about 1,500-ish in 2020, and now we're well above that. We're probably in the 2,000 horsepower range, but this port works really well. I've never had any issues with it. You can see here the combustion chambers, at some point it went over by hand. When we valve job it, sometimes it goes into the chamber, and I put in one of our walk around videos. I had to kind of blend it in, but if you look here, see the valve jobs get a little beat up. Now we have the GSC dual spring in it. This is a +1 valve from Ferrea. The exhaust does not look as bad as the intake. It looks like the intake valve seat's really getting kind of beat up here. If you look over here, like there's shininess, there's dark spots, and there's like ridges all in it. It's really getting beat up here. Now the head has been spray washed, but this is kind of, you can see how it's running really well. For right here, you'll see this is from the O-ring on the block. It has a bullet block, and it has a copper beryllium O-ring that goes into the head, or I'm sorry, into the block, and it makes a little imprint. Not a big deal, but definitely needs a valve job. Speaking of the deck surface, you also notice that there's no water jackets, and there's no water jackets because It said the car goes 198 miles an hour. We're trying to go over 200. And the last thing you want, if the head is lifting, is water to come out anywhere over here and get underneath the tire, and then you crash. We mentioned 15 more hits. Here is one of the issues that we have is this is normally not like this. Like you don't usually see this part milled out. And when we get to the end of the life of this has probably been about 30 to 40 thousandths off the head, that now we're getting towards the end of the life. We can't really keep decking it anymore. And that's how you can see like these wear spots here. They're almost like a tab to tell you that you are getting very, very deep. To show you guys a comparison, this is a brand new OEM one. You can see there is quite a bit of material from here to that surface, where on Dave's head it is pretty much to it. That does it for the cylinder head. Now let's look at some parts. I'll start with the camshaft, and the cam, GSC R2M camshaft. You'll notice very, very little, looks like a little bit of float here. So float is always on the accelerated side of the camshaft. You'll notice these little marks right here, and these cams have been in the cylinder head for 4 years, I think. Many hits, and I would say these things look freaking amazing. A little bit on the journal, but I think that's to be had on something like this. These things absolutely flex during operation. It's a lot of spring, a lot of boost, a lot of everything going on, and the camshaft just looks freaking amazing. And believe it or not, these are non-DLC coated buckets going with this. So let's take a look at the bucket. Now I know that the YouTube mechanic was telling you guys you have to run a DLC coated bucket because we're using a steel cam, but you know, I keep showing you don't have to. And here's another example. Now these buckets have actually been in here for 5 years, through many hits, and they've also been through quite a few of our process when we refresh the head, and none of these are caved in. You do see marks in them, and that is obviously from, so the bucket's made to turn in the hole, but also I noticed that we have like a little issue going on, especially with the intake side. The intake side is looking a little bit more hurt than the exhaust, although I do have one exhaust that's hurt. Now these are a wearable item. This has been in here for quite a few years, and my synopsis here is that we have a valve spring that's going away. Now we'll get into that shortly, but just to show you, like, and there's also issues here where you see how it's wearing right in the center of this one. You know, this is kind of like, it's probably rocking a little bit. There's probably a lot going on. There's a lot, I mean, this thing makes like 2,000 horsepower. And the bucket on the side kind of reflects what is going on the top side. There's maybe some oil starvation. I know for a while Dave had an issue. The car was so fast and it still had a wet sump oil, and we switched it over to a dry sump, and it helped it quite a bit. But now, I think this is valve spring related. So whenever you have a valve float situation, it basically displaces the oil that would be on top of the bucket when the camshaft follows the, well, I should say the follower is following the camshaft, and when the camshaft goes to go on top of the bucket and now you have valve float, well, now you're going to have no oil, and it displaces it, like basically moves it away from the bucket, and you're going to strike it dry, and then you get some marks. And that is not because you might have the wrong valve, well, it could be because you have the wrong valve spring or the valve spring's going away, and then you start seeing some wear. Now, what we're going to do to these is we're going to stick them on the lathe, And we actually just hit them with Scotch-Brite, and they should all just come right up. You don't have to replace them. It's more of a looks thing than an actual problem. There was only one bucket that was hurt enough where we wouldn't use it. So here is the valve spring in question. It's the GSC 5266, but it's the older version. So back 5 years ago when we did this, GSC changed the inner spring since then. So you can see like the spring is really easy to get in and out, and it's no longer that easy. And also this spring is short compared to the new one. And the bigger difference is that the locator in the older one is 2 pieces, and now it's 1 piece, because sometimes this can get a little loose and you wouldn't be able to get the spring on straight. So they made it 1 piece, then you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and it just goes right on. Problem is that you can't shim. You couldn't shim something like this effectively, but it is a better design. It's easier to install, and that's what we like about it. Look at these titanium retainers. They seem pretty happy. I don't see anything to really chat about, because they all look pretty good. Like, they look perfect. I don't see any issues here. Now, looking at the valve spring, though, what I did notice is, I don't know if we can get it on here. Let's find a good one. Is the rust. So there's rust all up here. You see that. Now, rust is a very big enemy of a valve spring. And this can happen if you guys leave the wrong fuel in the car, or you leave it in the engine. There's, you know, so you get some condensation that goes on the valve spring. And then what can happen here is the valve spring will break. And obviously that's not what we want, but we're going to tumble this and see if we can get the rust off. The other thing I noticed was, let's see, you see where it's hitting the bucket right there. See, it's shiny, and I would suspect it's part of valve float. It's just, you know, whenever valve float's going on, if you ever use a slinky and the inner part of the spring is now moving around, it's not happy, and that's what you're seeing there. Now, let's take a look at the valves. And the valves, I don't like that you see it's very dark pretty much all around. We have not checked these yet to see if they're straight, but I kind of grabbed this before it went through our second inspection process. But this, I would say that maybe some of these are bent. And they're a custom valve. This is Faria. We used to get Faria to make us a 7mm valve stem, and so it would neck down up here for the 6mm lock. So you can use the OEM style lock, and you have a 7mm stem. And they made a guide that went along with it. And we have since switched all of our guys over to an off-the-shelf valve from GSC. So we use a 6.5mm stem. But this is, you know, the older design. We used to do this all the time. It's made out of Pyromet, which is the same stuff they use in Top Fuel. It's a very high-grade Inconel 7mm stem, and hopefully this will survive another 15 hits, and that's it. On the intake side, here is the float that I was suspecting. You can see how it beat in on the valve. The 45 is beat in on the seat. We're going to be able to reface this. It's not the end of the world. This is also a Faria valve, and everything else looks really good. The stem looks good. The other thing we were worried about is the tip. So the tip is now getting really, really short. And it's getting short because we've refreshed this thing so many times. So this, basically we use this as a bucket. So we're going to take material off the tip of the valve versus putting a bunch of different buckets in it. And now we're at the point where we're running out of tip to lock clearance, but I think we can get one more out of it. So I feel the need to address Dave had a conversation with somebody who I'm not going to mention, but they said that their particular shop, their favorite shop, was serving steaks while HeadGames was serving burgers. But let's be real. We're serving Wagyu, and they're over there flipping mystery meat. Let's be real. 3 years, 198 miles per hour, 0 failures. Dave's still feasting on wins. He's going rounds, and I would say this burger was done to perfection. This teardown shows real-world results and not just keyboard theories of what actually works and what doesn't. So what's the future hold for Dave and this cylinder head? Well, Dave is an electrician. He's a guy like you and I, and he doesn't have a ton of money to throw at this thing. He works on it at night. He's built the whole car himself. It's really, really impressive what he has done with it. And a lot of this stuff is just old. So HeadGames, although we've done a lot with the 2JZ over the years, we've never stayed the same. So we've never just used the same parts forever and ever and hold true to, like, you know, a brand loyalty or whatever. We're always looking for the best and what the best can offer. And actually, although it's worked and it's set records, this stuff is no longer the best. It was just the best what was 5 years ago, because now we have a different spring kit that will hold this power a lot better. We have the 5086 from GSC. We have a smaller valve stem size from GSC. And our port's a little bit better because we've used this time wisely, and we've been able to come up with some better solutions for all that stuff. The only thing that is kind of new is the camshafts, which we're going to keep reusing. But this is where the difference between HeadGames and other shops is. Some people might just keep doing the same thing, or we're always trying to make something better. But better is not where we're going to go for this build right now. So only thing this thing has to do is make 15 more hits to get to the final round. That's what Dave and I were talking about. He just wants to make sure that this thing will just survive this year at World Cup, and we're going to do a whole new head for him next year. And I think, well, I feel like I'm afraid that the valve spring might break. I'm going to bring an extra valve spring to World Cup with me. But besides that, I think we can reuse all the parts. We're going to be able to just redo the valve job. We're going to reface the valves. We're going to fix the buckets, and we're going to put this thing back together. And hopefully we can go some 690s. That's what we'd like to see. But that's going to do it for us today. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Toodles.